I'm going to show you how to create a very basic 2D platform game where you have a character moving around and has animation playing for it. And then also here, I'm going to show you how to create a very basic level to draw on this tiles here map. And then when you hit this flag here, it will load into a new level here. So I'm like, yay! Okay, so let's start here. So what I'm going to do here now is that before I get started, I got that artwork from here called Pixel Frog, and I will post a link below the description. So the first thing in here I want to do now is I'm just going to load Unreal up here and create a new empty map here. So I'm going to go in here, create a new blank scene here, and I'll call it plat underscore tutorial. And then here, I'm going to make sure that the started content is turned off and I don't have retracing turned on. And hit create. So before I get started here, so I'm going to go in here and create a couple of folders. So my first folder I'm going to create is my 2D, where I can put all my 2D artwork in. And then I'll create a folder called BP for my blueprints. That's where would be my player. And then I'm going to create another folder for my maps. And now I'm going to go to new level here. And in the new level here, I'm going to select the empty level here. Hit create. And then I'm going to save this level as into my maps folder. Call it level 1. It's in there. And then here, what I want to do now, just for fun, I like to color my folders here. So my blueprint would be blue, so it's just easier to see here. So now what I'm going to do here is set up a couple conditions in that for the level. So I'm going to open up my project settings here, and this will allow me to add conditions for the level, so I don't have to set it every time for the level in for each assets. So in here, my maps and folder now, I'm going to change the edit to my level 1. So every time I start a level, it will not open up to that default world. And we will come back here later, change this game mode. We haven't done that yet. And then also what you want to do here is that we want to change the pixel. Right now, the pixel is set up to 1 right now, which is basically 1 centimeter. And the artwork that we downloaded is actually 32-bit. So we had to change this. And the reason why we changed this is that because the character would be so small, and if we make the character bigger, which is that level set up correctly, it won't overstep object. It won't be this weird overstepping feeling to it. So I want to change this to 0.3. And that's it. So next in here we're going to do now here is that we're going to import our textures into the game since we set this up. Oops, I mean to do that. Here, go to level, and then here's what I have downloaded. And then what we're using here is the main characters and the terrain. And all I have to do now is select a folder and just drag those 2 folders in here. So next what we want to do now is that we are going to change these right now, these here. What I mean by changing that, if you look at these objects, they look kind of blurry. Go in here, zoom in here. You see how blurry it looks like that. Well, what you want to do is you want to apply a paper 2D texture. What that will happen is that each of these objects will become sharp looking. So I'm going to right click here, go to sprite and actions, and hit apply paper 2D texture setting. Look what is going to happen here. It will become very sharp instantly. Ooh, my computer's acting up here. Here we go. See how sharp the look now? Sorry, my computer's a lot slow there. So next in here we're going to do now is that we want to create our map or draw our map in. In order to draw a map, we need to create a tile set. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click and go into my paper 2D and then select tile set, and then we can name this to TS underscore level 1. Or if you use it for multiple levels, you don't have to do that. So we'll just name it map. So, and then here we can reset this too, so we can see everything in there. And then what we can do now here is that let's hit save all here. So this indicate it'll start, it's not saved. All right, so we're going to open up this tile map in here. And then in the tile map here, we need to get this texture in here. So we could go into this arrow and type in terrain. And here you can see it's terrain. Or what you can do here is easier. Just grab this. As soon as we grab this, this turns on blue indicating we can drop it in here. Do that. So, and then I can go to the top here. And then what I'm going to do here now is that if you look here, if I click in here, you can see that, you know, this really big object here, but I just want to use these here. Now, as I know that in the description, these tile map here are actually 16 by 16. So if I go in here and type my tile size, type in 16 here. So now I can grab each of these here. So next in here, what I'm going to do now here is that I'm going to make all of these walls have a collision, and the center part has no collision. So how to do that is I select this, and then we can add a box to it. As soon as we add a box to it, you can see what happened here. It drew this blue line, and I select this next to it to see it doesn't have that. So what this means is that this has a collision on it. But if I unselect this over here, this one here doesn't have a collision. And how do we know? How do we see the collision? Super simple, easy. Just select this here. Just press this colliding tiles, and now each of them indicate which has a collision on it. So now I select this here and hit add box, and now go around here. So now all of these here have a collision on it, and we're going to save this. Close this down for now, and now we're going to do our tile map. So go to the paper and do a tile map. And here I'm going to do a tile map. I'm going to call it level 1. And you can have more than one tile map in a level if you want to add this kind of like illusion of a things moving in the foreground and the background. But for this level, you're only going to have one level here, one tile map per level. So I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to just dock it up here. And then here we have to indicate it's which tile set we're using, and we created this tile map right here. And then also what we want to do here before we get started here is that right now it's happened the same thing in here. We need to change the tile width here. So we're going to change this to 16. Doing that. So now you can see that whatever we're selecting, it gets into level here. All right, and now we're going to change it to the how big my level is going to be here. Let's make this into 50 by 25, 35. And then from here, what we're going to do now here is that we have levels here. We're going to have a background, and then we're going to have the platform. So I'm going to create one more in here, and this is be my background. This is where I'm going to paint in this black here. I want to call this, right click and name this to background. And then this will be my platform. This word platform, I can't spell. So in my background here, I'm going to choose my bucket, and then I'm just going to paint in. And then I go to my platform level, and this is where I paint in my level. So I'm going to grab in here, make sure I choose the brush. And if I zoom in here, if I hit X on my keyboard, see it flips the X side. And then if I grab this here and hit Y, oops, sorry, I meant to do this one. It flips that one over. So I'm going here. I'm going to basically do a very simple here. I'm going to start from here. And I'm going to draw something like that. So very flip here. And then grab this one underneath here. And draw in here. And then do a little jump here. It'll make it a little bit challenge. Yeah. Very like that. And just draw it in. And then I'm going to put my flag right here. We can do one more here, so make it a little more challenging, level 1 here. On here, and it looks like extremely challenging level. Oop. There we go. So basically, it's start from here and run over here. So we're going to save this. So next we need to get this map into the level. And it's simple. All we have to do here is that this tile map, just drag it in here. But when you do this, what's going to happen here is that it's going to place it in a very strange level. So each time you bring a map in like this, you putting in this really big number, so you don't actually know how to, well, you don't know exactly where it's going. So the better way to do this is that before I put the level into level, I like to work in my right view. What that allows to happen to is that when I drag a level in here, my Y direction here is always 0. Doing that because that's the direction where the character is going to be constrained to. So now I have that in there. So each time I put an object or a sprite or a flipbook in there, it will always do YB 0. All right. So the next thing here we want to do now here is that we are going to create the animations for the characters. So for my character animation, I have an idle, a fall, and a run. So the first one I'm going to do is that I'm going to open this up here, and you can see that this here has a bunch of characters. So what we need to do is we need to extract them out. So how we do this is that we right click on it, go to sprite action, and then extract sprites. And here you can see here, the automatic does a pretty good job of the extracting, but we know that each of these characters 32, and the artist even named it 30 times 32. So in the sprite extract mode, we're going to change to grid, and then here the grid cell width, we're going to change it to 32. And then we're going to extract it out. And here you can see that all of them extracted. So we can select the first one, idles, frame here, and then over here. And now we can convert this into a flipbook. Right click, create a flipbook, enter here. So now we hit hover it over, you can see it's waiting here. And then if we over up the flipbook, and here we can change the speed of the flipbook. So we can make this very fast, so it's very hyper, or we can make it very slow, so it'll be very laid back. But for this one here, I'm just gonna make it 15. Hit save. And now we're gonna do the run one. And where is the run here? Right click, do the same thing. Sprite, extract sprites. And then in here, sprite extract mode, we'll make it to grid. And then in here, we're going to do 32. And they extract. And then once again, we can grab all of them and convert them into a flip book. Doing that. And the last one we're going to do is the fall. We're going to right click, do the same thing, convert it and extract the sprite. And then in here, he only has one, so make it super simple. And then hit extract out. And then where are you? Right here, all here. And then we can convert that into a flipbook. but you want to see just over here, just kind of hovering there. All right. So the next thing here is that we need to create a blueprint in order to play this flipbooks for each movement, and also we need to add keys for so the character can ask to move it. So inside of my blueprints in here, we're going to create a blueprint, 2D blueprint. So I'm going to right click in here and create a blueprint class. And then the blueprint class, we're going to use a thing called a paper character. So we don't see it right in here. So in here, all classes, we're going to type in paper character. And this is the one here. And what this one has kind of have a setup for a 2D game. And it also has a capsule setup for its sprites. So when you hit here and select that, and select here, and then we're going to open this up. And then here we're just going to dock it here. And then from you can see here on the left side it says sprite. And then from here we're going to choose the flipbook that we just created, and it's the idle. And then I want to work to the right side as well. What I want to do now here is that we want to size the capsule to be fit inside here. If you put this into the game right now, it will be hovering from here, from the top here, and it will look kind of funny. But I want to just lower here, and the best here is just try to accurate get it approximately the size here. And so got the sprite here. Try to get as close as possible. And we always come back and adjust this. Just something like that. And we probably have to come back here because he might be floating from the platform here. Alright, so what we want to do now here is that we want to create a game mode and a starter here where the character is going to start in the game. So in order for we want to start here, we need to create a blueprint game mode. And this also in the game mode is going to decide which player that is going to use to play, and that's the one that we created. And I realized we haven't named it. I'm going to name it now to BP player. If I can spell player. There we go. I didn't mean open up. Let's create a blueprint here. And there's the game mode here. In the game mode, this is going to tell the player, which I said before, and let's call it platform. Open that up. And then in the game mode here now is that we're going to choose the pawn class to be the BP player that we just created. And then we're going to hit save here, and then we are going to create a starter. Go to basic, do a player start, and then we're going to move this over and here. And when we hit play start now, it's going to work, but we don't see it now. The reason we're not seeing is that because it doesn't have a camera, and also we need to rotate the camera in order to see it. So we want to go back into our player, and then on the capsule here, we're going to select. Let's go into my perspective view here. We're going to add it called a spring arm here. And basically what the spring arm is, that is the distance where the camera is going to be on. And we got also on the spring arm, we're going to attach the camera. As you can see now, the camera is facing sideways. So if we started the game again, it will look the same. So what you want to do here is that we want to grab the sprite arm, and then we want to move it here to -90. Oop, not the character. The spring arm. You want to move it to -90. I mean, technically it would have worked, but then I have to put my time map in a different way. Okay, so now if you hit play, oop, we forgot to do one more thing in here. You can see when you hit play, it still is happening. But what you want to do now is that we need to set that in our project settings in here now. So we go into the project settings here now that we want to set in the maps and modes here. Right now it says default game mode. We want to change that into the one we just created platform there. Now we just close that down, save all, and then hit play. Now we can see the character in the game. And here we need to adjust the height of the character. So if we go into my preview right here, and we're going to change this to 5. It might be easier to move. So now if I hit, oops, make sure I save it, and then go back and hit play. And now you can see it's almost touching the ground. I could change this to maybe to a one and I can get exact placement. But for now, that is good. There are a couple more things I need to do here with the character here is that we want to make sure that the spring arm is not colliding with any other objects in the scene itself. So we're going to grab the spring arm in here and we're going to type in do collision here. So basically means if they do collision, that means the spring arms can move back and forth or move this weird movement if it hits something. So we are going to check that. Then other thing we're going to do here is that we also want the character, when it hits an object or moves something, that it doesn't move from the background to the foreground. We want to constrain it to one direction, to the Y direction. So if I go in here, select the character movement, and then I want to type in constrain. Right here, constraint to the plane here. So when I click that, and the constraint we want to do here is the Y direction. You can see here the Y direction. You want to constrain it. So we go in here and hit 1 here. So that. So next in here, what we want to do is create the interaction, not interaction, the movement keys, or create the key binding so we can move the character and jump. So inside of my folder here now is, let me make sure it goes to the right here. I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call these the input. Open that up. Do that, and then what we're going to do here is that we're going to create for each movement. For the jump, we'll have an input action, and then my movement will have an input action for each one. And then from there, we will put all those together into the input mapping context. So in here, I'm going to create a paper to the, oops, sorry, I lied. Input action right here. And I'm going to name this IA jump. We do the jump first. So for the jump here, I'm going to open this up. You have here, we have to set the value type. So basically what a jump is, when you hit the space bar, it's basically, it's going to jump and it falls back down. So basically it's a Boolean. So, and if you are doing the movement keys, we want the one axis doing that. So what I'm talking about that is that they open up Photoshop here is that, so when you movement here is that, you know, go to the left side would be -1. If you move to the right side, it will be a positive side. We don't have up and down here. It's not a top game, so we don't have one going up or minus down here. So for now, for the here is that I jump will be a Boolean, and we hit save. We can close that down, and then close the game mode. And then in here, we'll create the next one here for input. Input. Call it IA movement. Open that one up. And then this value type will be a 1D. We're only going one direction here, from -1 to 1. And hit save. So next in here, what you want to do now is that we want to create the context mapping. So in here, I'm going to right click in here, and then I'm going to do the input actions here, input mapping context. I call it IMC movements here. And then you open that up. All right, so for the mapping here, we have two of them. Remember, one for the jump and then one for the movement. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and then we are going to choose the jump first. And then for the jump here, we want to press this here, key value. When you do that, you can choose the key there if you want. So if you want to choose the A to move, to jump, which we don't, you want the spacebar to move. So that is done. So now we're going to do the movement for the movements. Hit the plus sign, and then we want to choose the IA movement. So for my going to the right side, which is the positive direction, it would be the D key. And then we need to create another key here, which is the A here. So when you hit A, it's actually going -1 direction. In order to do that, to move to the minus direction in the modifiers, we need to change this to negative. So we hit the plus sign in here, and we're going to choose negate. So hit save here. So next here, what we want to do now is that we want to tell it to use this IMC movement in my blueprint. And is it very easy done? So I want to go into my plays folder and into my event graph right now. So for my event play, we need to tell it to move this controller right now, this box, this capsule here. We want to tell it to make it move and use those keys that we assign. So what you want to do here is you want to right click, get controller. I can spell controller. Get controller. And then from here, we want to cast it to the player controller. Cast it to player controller. Like this. And now we want to get the play controller as the controller. We want to get that new system here called enhance. Here, get enhance input local player system. That's a lot of words. Here, so, and now we wanted to add the mapping context to use the this right here. Go in here, and then we want to type in add mapping context, and then from here we're going to choose the IMC movement here. That's it. And now we can hit compile and save. So now we're ready to do the movement. So the first one is the easiest one is actually the jump here. So in order to do this, we want to go to right click, and we're going to type in IA underscore, and here we can see jump. That's what we created, jump here. And then we'll click this arrow down. So we're not going to grab the trigger here, but for the movement we will. But from here, we're going to tell it to start here. In that sense, it's a Boolean. And actually, Unreal has built in a jump node already here or feature. And then also we needed to tell it when it's done jumping. Doing that. So now if I hit save here, we should be jumping like crazy here. Yay, look at that, we're jumping. Yay, we got something working. All right, so next in here, what we want to do now is that we can close this down. We want the movement. So do the same thing as we did here. We're going to right click, type in IA movement here. And then for the movement here is that from the trigger here, we're going to add movement. Add movement input here. And then also in here for the action value here, make sure we connect this. So now we have to determine which way it is moving now. We know that it is moving the X positive direction and X minus direction. So all we have to do here is change this to 1. So now what we can do here is that we can test this, see if this works. Oh, that was working. Yay! Very challenge level. All right. So next we want to do here is that we want to tell it to use the animations doing that. So when it's playing, there's just going back and forth. There's no animation doing that. So I want to go back into my player blueprints in here. And then the way how we're going to use this, we can use the event tick. I'm just going to move this to the bottom here. So in order for me to do to set the animation, we want the animation, we want to indicate it is moving. If it is moving, it will play the animation. If it is not moving, it will stop playing animation. So we basically have to set up a condition or create this thing or if-then statement, which is actually a branch doing that. So you have this thing in Unreal is called get velocity doing that. Velocity right here. So if it is moving, doing that, and also we need to know that if it is not moving, and we have the thing called a vector length, and the vector length is set to 0. So what we can do in here, you want to set this to 0 movements. Doing not vector here. Vector length here. Length. So this is set to 0, but we want to make this, if it is moving, we want it to tell if it's moving forward. So if we go in here now, and now I'm going to set a branch here. So if we type in here, branch here, and there's basically, if this is true, this condition is true, if it is moving, this will set the flipbook to be running here. Doing that. So go in here, set this here. So if it is true, it will be telling it the animation to be running. Doing that. So we're going to connect this tick here to the branch. So now if I hit here, I believe it should work for just moving here. Now you can see it's just playing here. So now we have to tell it to, when it is not moving, it will play the idle animation. So same thing in here, we're going to tell it to false when it's not moving. Do the same thing here, flipbook, sorry, set flipbook. Make it idle here. Clean it up here. So now it should not be moving. I mean, you should have, when you stop, you're down here. So now you can see when you run, it plays the run animation. But now we are going to set up the jump here, and it's done in a similar way. So the way how this works here is that we wanted to tell it if it's on the ground, and if it's moving up in the Z direction, it will play the animation. So we're going to open up the blueprints here, and then we are going to go into here. Let's go into make a little more room here. I'm going to untick this for right now. So doing that, so they have this node called moving on ground. So we're going to click here, called is moving on ground here, and attach the character movement to it. And then from here, we want to tell it the condition. If it is on the ground, and if it's not on the ground, it will play an animation. So we can do, if you hit B down and the left click here, it will actually put the branch node in here. So go in here, we're going to connect this like this here. So now we can do another, this branch here, we're just going to connect it to here. I made it a little bit too far, a little dramatic there. And then I'm going to add another branch in here. If it is false, it will play the fall animation. So in here, we're going to hear if it is true. You want to set flipbook sprite to default one here. Technically, I think this won't work. So if we go in here, so we hit play. See, it's working there, but we're going to make it sure that it might be a condition that if it is falling here, you want to tell it definitely is moving down here. So to do that, what we want to do here is we want to get this velocity here. So we're going to set here get velocity here. Velocity, there we go, velocity, and then here you want to definitely check it on if when you hit his split here, split truck here, and we get like X, Y, Z, we know up and down. Here is that if it is less than, if the condition is true, less than, it will play the animation. Technically, you don't need this, but this is also a condition that, just in case, if it is falling in a Z direction, it will play this animation. So next thing here we want to do now is to make sure that is working. Here, so play, go in here. Yeah, it's working. Perfect. All right. So the next thing here we want to do here is that we want to flip the animation so that the animation is playing the right way. And it's basically we have to tell it use a rotor, so it basically flips it. So if we go in here to my movement here, we want to get the controller, this object, to rotate here. So we want to get controller first, get controller here. And this controller, we wanted to set the control rotation. So I'm going to drag this off here and type in set control rotation. And then we're going to connect this here. So from here, we're going to set up this condition here. So if we go in here, you have the, which I said, select this right here. And then from here, it's basically you want to tell it whether it is greater rotation here. So if we go in here, greater here, and that is going to set up the action here, the way it is facing here to set value. When doing here, when you connect this in here, it's going to set up the index card here. So going here, as soon as optional will become true and false. Doing that, so now what we could do here is that now it will, since this is true here, we can tell it to rotate in a certain direction. So for my here, we use this called a make rotor. This is what actually rotates the capsar around. Rotor here, we need two of them, one for true and one for false. This down here. So for my true one here, so for this one here, let's make this to a true one here. This goes into here. That's my true one, and then if it's false, this is where it turns to 180. 180 here. Rotate it, false here. So now hit play. Oh. What's happening here is that when I hit play, as soon as I hit A, though it's a little startling, it actually flips the whole thing. You can see here, it is working here. So So what I need to do here to fix this is that I want to select my spring arm. And then right now it is going to relative direction. So if I hit world here, and now when I hit compile and save and play, it is, you know, flipping here now. But also I want to do here, since this is kind of close to the flipboard here, one sec, I have to let my dog out. There we go. So it's kind of far away here, so let my dogs out. So to fix that here, we go to spring arm, and then in here, my distance here, we can set it to 500. And hit compile and save. Hit play. There we go. Now it's working. So now you can see that the character is working here. I hit play here, is playing animation. And what we need to do here now, fix here, is actually color. So being a play here, you can see it has this kind of like a motion blur doing that. And also you can see it's kind of washed out the scene here doing that. So what we need to do here, we need to go back into the project setting here to set a couple of things here, conditions here. So open up here to your project settings here, and then what you want to do here, you want to type in blur, because everything now is set up into the 3D, but we're doing a 2D game. So we need to turn a couple of things off here. So in here for motion blur, we're going to turn that off. And that basically, as you saw the streaking, that would disappear. And then also in here, we're going to turn off anti-alias here. And turn that into none. Do that. And then also in here, we're going to type in auto exposure. We don't need that. Auto exposure. Here, we're going to go to auto exposure to turn that. I'm sorry. Auto exposure, turn it off, and then I don't know what I was doing. Hit 0, and then for my turn off my global illumination is using the luminance right now, since we don't using here. We 2D, turn that off, and then we also want to turn off the reflection, because we don't have any reflection in there. In the game here, so method here, make sure that it's not using lumen, and then also we want to turn on the shadow method to have here. We want not the virtual, we want it to be shadow map, and then also this is not for 3D ambient inclusion. We don't have that, so we can turn both of these on, doing that. So this is all done in here. So we're going to close that down. So right now you can see here, it's looking better already. Look at the contrast. You see now we don't have that streaking or that blurring effect. So in order to set the color of the game, we use a thing called a post-process volume doing that. So we are going to go into my here. So select here, and then go into your volumes, and this basically set up the colors, or contrasts, or guides, right? Whatever you want to do here. So in here, go to the post-process volume, and then see when you put in here at 0, type it to 0, keep it on the top here. And also what we're going to do here is that we are going to convert this into a blueprint, so each time you create a level, you don't have to do the setting all the time. So now basically here is that if I go into this object or go inside of it, then the effects will happen whatever changes I do here on the right side. But what we want to do is that we wanted to have a infinite. So basically, infinite everywhere this will be applied to. So we can type in here infinite. And then we also want to now to set up that so you won't have that getting too bright and too dark automatically. And that's called the EV100. So I'll select both of these here. And then also here, I'll do all zeros. Doing that. And then what we're going to do here now is that also we're going to turn off the vignette. So on the sides here, just because it's dark there. So we're going to type in VG vignette. And then here, we're just going to go in here, set this to 0. I mean, you can keep it if you want it, but I was thinking it looks nicer if you don't have that. And then also, I want to turn off the gamut here and make that into 0. So, and then we're going to turn in the tone curve here. Oops, not there. I typed the wrong number. Make sure it is 0. I typed the wrong place. Tone curve. Make that to 0 as well. And that's it. So now, if I play, this basically looks like the time map that we created. It basically has the same look here. So I'm going here now. So now it looks pretty good. And you can go around into post-processing and change whatever look that you want. So the only last thing that I have to do now is I create a second level where it hits and loads in. So I want to go into my maps here. And I'm going to create a new level and call this a level 2. And then I'm going to save all before I go into this level. So I'm going to open up. And then you can see it is completely empty doing that. And then what I'm going to do here is do the same thing here with the maps here. The terrain here is that I'm going to create a town map. Go into 2D and then tile map, and we call this TM underscore level 2. Open this up and do the same thing here. And I believe you can set the tile setting here into the project setting there. So if we go in here to the width here, do 25, and then do this as 20. And then the tile set we're using would be this one. And do one more here. Select, maybe we do a different color here. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. And then in here, we can just make sure that it has something to stand on. Make sure that I pick paint. Did I turn the wrong one? Okay, make sure I played the right one here. Go in here. Oh, sure, turn it on there. There we go. Turn it off. I didn't know it was turned off here. So make it very difficult though. We'll just have to run to the other side there. And then in here, let's close this down. And let's go back into level 2, and then we're going to bring it in there. And then put a 0 and 0. And then we need a player start where it's going to start at. And then we go to, where are you? Basic player start. There we go. And then, so there, and now save it here. All right, so now we need to go back to my level 1 to add a something that will trigger which is level. So if I go in here now and let's go and create a 2D object here. So we go into my what is this here? Oh, we're gonna have this animation. When it hits this animation, flipbook, it actually will load the next level. Let's do that. So in here now, I'm gonna grab this here. To grab this, create this extract as flipbook here, and go into grid and 32. I'll just keep it like this here. It'll be fine. It'd be a weird animation here. And you want to create a flipbook. Oh, it was kind of cool. All right. So now I'm going to go into my blueprints here. I'm going to right click, create a blueprint actor. Here, so create this here. Actor, so call it BP. Next level. I kind of like that weird animation. So we're going to open this up. And then in here, we're going to do a flipbook. And then we're going to choose that flipbook we just made. Oh, that's crazy. I love it. All right, and then from here, from the flipbook here, you're going to create a collision. And that collision is going to determine if you in it or load it to the next level. So we select that, right click, add event, and then hit add and overlap. So now this is super easy here. So what you have to do here, you have anything called an open level by name. So when you cross that, we just go over here and then type in open. Oops, if I can spell it, open level by name here, and then the name that we have for a level, which is make sure here it is level 2 underscore. So level 2 underscore, and then hit compile and save. And then we need to get this map. Oh, I need to save this. I should have just done everything in level 2 here. Oh, sorry, no, level 1. Sorry, I was right. BP next level here. Drag it in. I don't know if I saw this in the game here. It's like, is this fires or fireflies or something? And you can see here as soon as I drag it, it's at 0, which is really nice. So. And then I'm also want to make sure the next level, make sure that, make the box so it'll be a little bit bigger. And we can also hidden here. Let's just see how big we can do this hidden in the game here. We can actually see it how big the box is. So that's a good size. So there's an overlap. I want to see all those good stuff there. So like that. And then go back to next level, let's hide it again. So it's just only to see how big the collision box is. So now when you play the game here, and we play here, I'm like, oh my gosh, a hole here, I need to jump over, I made it over. And you're like, what is that? What happened if I touch it? Oop, nothing happens. What did I do wrong? So here, it might not be big enough here. Go into a level. Try again here. I can make it. Or did I misspell my level here? Oh, maybe I misspelled it. I spell it right here. Oh, do you know what I did here? I did end overlap. That's what I did wrong. I need to do begin overlap, not end overlap. That's what I did wrong. So that's what happened. That's why it didn't work. Sorry about that. Let me save all here. Try again. All right, here we go. Good job. I made it. Oh, not a hole. Okay, I can do it. There we go. Oh my god. It's a very complex level. Alright, thank you for watching this tutorial. If you want any additional tutorial for 2D, just let me know, comment below, and hit subscribe, and see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.